Today we're going to explore all that Grayton Beach State Park has to offer. We're going to get checked into our tent camping spot, see the camping amenities, park activities, and enjoy some campsite meals. We'll end with some camping tips and a look at the aftermath of our first night camping, where something got into our food and how we discovered what it was. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Steph, and this is my friend Amber. We are on our way to Grayton Beach State Park to camp and kayak for a couple days. Grayton Beach State Park is located in the panhandle of Florida, which is about 2.5 hours from where we live in Tallahassee, Florida. I've been wanting to visit here for a couple years now because inside the park is a coastal dune lake. Coastal dune lakes are rare, shallow, and irregular shaped bodies of water that can be found in dune ecosystems within 2 miles of the coast. They're natural phenomenons that can only be found in a few places around the world, including Australia, Madagascar, New Zealand, Oregon, and Northwest Florida. We arrived around 1 p.m. and the check-in time is 3 p.m. so I didn't think that the site would be ready, but when we arrived and we asked the ranger, she said yep, it was available, so all we did was park our car and then go into the ranger station to get checked in, and it was very seamless, very easy. They're very, very friendly, and they gave us a map and really explained everything about the park, so we were ready to go, get set up, and explore. And they do have ice and firewood available at the ranger station for purchase. Grayton Beach Campground has 59 camping sites and one of the nicest camping along the Gulf Coast. Each site comes with electricity and water. We booked this campsite a couple months ago, and it was really the only thing that was available. 2 nights was the most we can get, and we were able to get the tent-only campsite, which is number 31, and it's a great campsite. We were surprised at how big it was, and it had great tree coverage. So if you're only tent camping, this is a great one to get if it's available. The campsite was $30 a night for 2 nights, and with the reservation fees and taxes, the grand total was $73.90 for our 2 nights. After exploring our awesome campsite, we took everything out of the car and we brought a good amount of stuff because we wanted to have some nice comfort while we were here. So you can see it's all laid out, and we did bring a plug-in cooler, so I was able to plug that up into the electrical, and that is good to go. But it is lunchtime for us, so we went ahead and got our lunch items out of the cooler. We're using our folding camp sink to carry it to the table. And then we set up 2 chairs and our folding camping table, and we had a nice lunch. These are wraps from Trader Joe's. I do want to point out we are both eating some chips, and Amber did not finish hers, so she put it into the flap of the table that we're eating on. And I say this because that's going to come into play at the end of the video, so stay tuned for food safety when you are camping. After lunch, we got our kitchen station set up, and we moved the picnic table so it was out of our way, and it was really heavy, so that took a little effort, but we got it out of the way, and we were able to have more space for our setup. And I brought a canopy tent so we would have a nice covering on our main area that we were going to be in. Our campsite was so big that we weren't sure exactly where to put everything, so we were kind of determining where everything should go, and we added a mat in front of the tent so we wouldn't track dirt into the tent. So the campsite is all set up. You can see our cooler is plugged in, doing well, and we have our tent all set up here on the side, and the mat is a great place to keep our shoes. And then under the canopy tent, we have our table and chairs, and we have a little camp line to hang things on. And over here on the side, I brought my solo stove, smokeless fire pit, so we can have nice smoke-free fires. And we put it in the fire ring so it's nice and safe. And then this little tent over here is actually a dog tent, but we are using it just to hold extra gear and keep that out of the main tent. With our campsite set up, we went to explore the bathroom, and you can see there's a beautiful little walkway to get there, and it was not a far walk at all. This is one of 2 bathroom facilities here in the camping area, and this one is closed from 9 to 10 for cleaning, and the other one is closed from 10 to 11 for cleaning, so we made note of that. There's also a washer and dryer at both of the bathrooms. No one was in it when we got there, so I took a quick little tour of it. You can see it was super clean, it smelled clean, it was really well kept up. And then the shower area looked great too. We actually never took a shower, but it looks like it'd be nice and clean, and I would not mind using this at all. And to get back to the campsite, there's these little paths. It takes a little bit to remember how to get back to your campsite, but we figured it out pretty quickly. Now we're exploring the second bathroom, and this is in the area that is RV only, and it's even nicer than our bathroom area. There's a place where you can refill your water bottle. There's also a single stall accessible bathroom at the site. And now we're just walking around and exploring the camping area. And this is the primitive camping site that we are checking out, and it's a great little site and you're right on the water. This is Western Lake, and this is what we will be kayaking while we're on this trip. And this is a coastal dune lake, so that means certain times of the year, the outfall will open up and it will feed right into the Gulf of Mexico. And sadly on this trip, the outfall was not open, but we still got to see the area and kayak it, and it was really cool. We also spotted the boat launch site for Grayton Beach State Park, which we ended up not using because we were able to launch right from our campsite, which we'll share all about in a separate video. Next, we wanted to explore the path to the lakes that are connected to the campgrounds. So we took our trusty map and went looking for the different paths. And there are 3 different paths that are between campsites, and it's pretty obvious how to get to them. We did find a boat at one of them, and here was another one. Again, always reminding you of gator safety. I will say we didn't see any gators on this trip, but we know they're there. And this was a really pretty area to walk, actually. Once you get out to these paths, you can kind of walk this area. And we just really took in the beauty that is Western Lake. And this is what the path looked like that was from our campsite. The ranger told us that he really likes going left on the lake and under a bridge. So we're going to try to explore that first. And then after we kayak that, we're going to try to kayak the outfall area, which is to the right of where we are. And it was really pretty, and it was a beautiful, perfect weather day. The number one activity I would say here is kayaking, and that is what brought us here, and we'll share all about that in a separate video, but here's just a quick look at some of our kayaking adventures. To explore some of the other activities here at the park, we got in our car and we first drove to the kayak launch spot. Now this state park is really well laid out. There's also some cabins that we tried to go to, but they're actually outside of the park. You have to go down about a mile and then turn in, but you have to have reservations at the cabins to go in that area. So this is the boat launch spot. You can see there's a nice picnic table here if you wanted to grill out. There's a lot of signs reminding you that you cannot walk on the dunes. They are protected areas, so make sure you read those and stay off the dunes. And it's a very simple launch spot. It would have been easy to launch from, but again, we didn't need to. And they do have kayaks and paddleboards available for rental, but it did say that it was closed for the season. So I'm not sure when the season is, but the Friends of Grayton Beach State Park can rent to you. Once we explored that, we headed to the beach area. We actually did this next thing the next day, but I'm going to throw it here because it makes the most sense. So they have a really neat dune trail that you can actually hike. And so these are the only dunes that you're allowed to walk on, and you have to stay on the path. And this is only a 1 mile loop, and it was really doable and super fun. Highly recommend doing this. You just park in the beach parking lot, and then you can explore this little path. And over to the right is the Western Dune Lake, and to the left is the coast. And then you get to walk into this really cool little area with these neat trees. And you are walking on sand for most of this, but it's pretty easy to walk on. And this part of the trail is really, really neat. Again, there's a lot of signs telling you what areas you can walk on and what areas are restricted. And once we got out of the cool tree area, we got into some more dunes. And there is Western Lake. You can see there are some cranes. They're doing some work over there, but it really wasn't a huge deal. We did encounter a couple other people on this trail, but everyone's just out here enjoying. It does get into a little bit more wooded area, so there's just so much to see on this trail and so many different kind of systems to go through. And it was a beautiful trail. Again, highly recommend. Now we're walking up to the bathroom area of the beach. You can see they do have accessible chairs available. They have a place to fill up your water bottle and bathrooms. Now we're here right at sunset, and you can see there was a good amount of people. There's actually a lot of people taking pictures professionally because, you know, it's the perfect light for that. But we decided to go ahead and walk on the beach. One of my favorite things is actually the beach at night, so I was very excited that we were able to do this. The water was a little heavy, but we weren't getting in the water, so it was just beautiful and wonderful to enjoy. And yes, we were very excited. Amber loves the beach and I love the beach at night, so this was a perfect place to enjoy. And it was a little chilly, but it was still perfect. The last activity that they have is a Flatwoods trail that's 4 miles, and it's actually right outside of the park, so it's across the street. You just drive out of the ranger station and then it's right there, and there's places to park there. We wanted to explore this, but we didn't have time to do this, so definitely next time. But when we kayaked, we did actually kayak up into that area, so in that video you'll be able to see a little bit of what that area looks like. Now let's head back to the campsite and check it out at night. So I love light, and I have a lot of different camp lights that I set up here as it got dark. And this was a great one. This is actually a nightized string lights where it has one big light that we put over our kitchen, and then we have the string lights all around the canopy tent. And we're just starting the fire to cook dinner. This is my smokeless fire pit with pellets, and they catch fire really quickly and start a nice fire, and once they burn down a little bit, we're going to make dinner. So while the fire's going, I'm going to prep the meal. We're actually making tacos tonight. The meat is already cooked, so we're just basically going to warm it up, and we're going to warm up the shells as well. This is really cool aluminum foil that we found recently. It is grill aluminum foil that's non-stick, so it's bigger, it's thicker, and it's perfect for exactly what we're doing. With the tacos done, we got them all dressed up, and we enjoyed our dinner. And of course, no campfire is complete without s'mores. And we ended the night by doing dishes. This is my camp faucet with camp sink, and I have a little camp stool here, and it all works out really well. The next morning, of course, we needed some coffee and tea. So I used my jet boil to quickly boil up some water, and I'm pouring some coffee here for Amber. And now I'm going to make some eggs. This is what I have for breakfast every day, so I'm going to use my cast iron pan with this. And this jet boil is not really for cooking, it's more just for heating up water, but I was able to make eggs pretty easily on it. And inside the fridge, the carrots I had actually froze, so I'm just kind of heating them up a little bit here. So every morning I usually have eggs with a vegetable. And then I heated up some water for myself to make some tea. And this was a nice little breakfast for us. This was November here in North Florida, and it was actually a little chilly on these days, so we also made some hot chocolate to keep us nice and warm. And we did have some extra marshmallows, so why not add that in? And the next night, we enjoyed dinner again over the campfire, and tonight we're actually going to make something called sausage scramble, and it's basically sausage with anything else that we have. So we have a little vegetable kit, some onions, and some sausage. Again, we're going to use those grill non-stick heavy-duty aluminum foil sheets because they are perfection. We added a little bit of olive oil and some seasoning. And I do love having a fire, but I hate smoke, so this Solo Stove smokeless fire pit is the perfect thing for me. Typically, we wait for the flames to go down a little bit more, but we were hungry. And I don't really cook, so this is my favorite kind of meal where you just put it in tin foil and ball it up and put it on the fire. And this is just a grill top grate that I put over my fire, and then we're just putting the foil packets right on top. And they are steaming. They are done. And this is sausage scramble. I make this a lot in my backyard as well because I enjoy a campfire meal. And because it was cold, we also added some wood after we cooked our dinner to get the fire going again. Reynolds Wrap heavy duty nonstick grill foil. This is the secret to campfires. Buy this. We got it at Walmart. You will not be sorry. You will be very, very happy. Get it. Look at our fire. It's awesome. Nothing better. Food by a campfire. And we just enjoyed the fire. There was some fallen branches around that we kind of threw in the fire and just enjoyed ourselves. And during this time, I went to the bathroom and walked back to the campsite, and I just thought our little setup looks so cute in the dark. And of course, we had to have s'mores again. But we didn't have any graham crackers, which I'll explain at the end why not. So we're just going to eat some marshmallows, but it's better than nothing. We did learn it's harder to eat a marshmallow without the wrapping of the graham cracker around it, but we still made it work. In the morning we were leaving, we packed up a little bit as we were making breakfast. So again, we had coffee, tea, and I made eggs for both me and Amber. Now, a couple camping tips that I would suggest if you're camping at this site or really any kind of camping. You're going to want some kind of setup for cleaning your dishes. Now, this setup actually worked really well. We have a little faucet here in the sink, and we're able to wash our dishes pretty easily. After we washed them, I also did put some boiling water on them just to make sure they were sanitized. This campsite also had a hose so we could get some water, but I wanted to be able to filter it because I wasn't sure, how clean the water was. So I actually got an RV filter from Walmart, and I was able to plug it in here and then get filtered water right into our water filter. And this jug holds a little under 3 gallons, and we used about 1 a day. The outdoor faucet also really came in handy when we needed to clean the kayak after we kayaked. And I have just a little hose that I connected to it, and it's an expandable hose, about 25 feet. And it worked perfect here. I was able to keep it clean with fresh water. Since we are camping at a state park, they do have nice bathrooms that's just a little distance from the campsite. Make sure you think through how you're going to get your bathroom supplies to the bathroom and have little bags that you're able to carry with you. When I go on trips, I really try to plan for every possible scenario, but you just can't. Life happens and you just can't. Now, one thing that happened was the car we're in is my mom's CRV, and the battery in the remote was low actually when we got to the campsite, which means it could have died while we were here, and then we wouldn't be able to start the car. We thought we were going to have to go to a store to get a battery, but randomly I realized that the battery in an Apple AirTag is the same battery that goes in the remote for the CRV. So I took the battery out of my AirTag and put it into the remote, and I found a video online on how to replace the battery in this remote, and then we were good to go. We didn't have to stop anywhere. So just keep that in mind. If you have an AirTag, it might work also as a battery in your keys if they ever go bad. Next, I want to talk about food safety when camping. Now, I think everyone probably knows not to keep food in their tent because animals could try to come in there and get it. And we didn't have any food in our tent. We had all the food, actually, our cold and non-cold stuff, in the cooler. And we had the cooler kind of off towards the side from the tent. Didn't think anything of it. We thought we were pretty safe with that. But on the first night, in the middle of the night, about 3 a.m., we hear what sounds like a person open up our cooler and start munching. And we were very scared, to say the least. We thought it was a bear because there are bears in this area of Florida. So we were very scared, and we just kind of sat, not sleeping in the tent all night, and because we could hear these noises. And finally they stopped. But in the morning, we bravely opened the door to kind of see what might have happened. And this is kind of what we saw. We first found our graham crackers had been opened and maybe nibbled on, but most of them were left. And then we had some almond butter pretzel bites from Trader Joe's, and all of those were eaten, especially all the almond butter part. So whatever got to it, really liked that almond butter. And then when we had lunch that first day, Amber left a little bit of her chips inside of our table, and it had opened the table and gotten those chips. So those 3 items had been taken from our cooler, but we were very shocked that nothing more had been taken from our cooler. So we were definitely nervous about kind of what happened. We really thought it was a bear. We actually went and talked to the rangers later that day, and they reassured us that it didn't look like it had been a bear based on how they opened the food, and it was probably the 40-pound raccoon that they call Cindy. She is known to be getting into food. So all that to say is the next day we put our cooler in the car to make sure that nothing could get to the cooler. So always keep that in mind. Definitely, no matter where you are, if you're camping, keep in mind, can a raccoon, can anything get into your cooler, into your food, and how can you stop that from happening? And one of the first things we did notice was where the trash cans were at the campsite. And every night before we went to bed, we did throw away all of our trash to make sure no animals could get into the trash. So be very aware of your trash and your food. Now on the last day, we packed everything up, and this was such a fun trip. The checkout time was 1 p.m. So on our last day, we actually packed up most of the camp, and then we actually went kayaking, which I'll show in a separate video, and we got to see the beautiful dune lakes. It was amazing. And then we came back, had lunch, and then finished packing up. And we were there till about 12:57. So we got our money's worth on this trip. And all we did when we left was call the ranger station and let them know that we were leaving. So this was a beautiful trip. I definitely would and want to come here again at Grayton Beach State Park. I have not stayed at a lot of Florida state parks. I definitely want to try to stay at more of them because if this is any indication, it's super fun here. And I'm a Floridian. I love Florida. And I want to just do more exploring and camping here because it's super fun. And as always, I hope you have a great day.